came out, the Media Council invited you, right? I remember we spoke about it before, and you went to meet them, and this is something which is normal practice, because I remember we have been summoned by the Media Council. People have complained about a story that we did, and we met. I was lucky. I met with them here in my office. They told me the concerns, and I told them my concerns. We went back and forth, and it was addressed at some point, right? But you met members of the Media Council. I remember when you met them. After that, we had a conversation. So I was not surprised when I saw the GPU. Exactly what I had heard was what was in the GPU press statement. Now that encounter, because the Media Council came out to say all those things that were said were not true. The Human Rights Commission also came out and said, trying to put the commission's integrity in to say, you know, their integrity. But for me, you know, when their statement came out, because their statement came out first, my first concern, I remember I was doing a live video with Mahdi and the others, with Mahdi and Omar Wali at that time when the statement came. When I read through the statement, it was live, and I said, look, with all due respect to the Human Rights Commission, the GPU did not address the Human Rights Commission directly. They were talking about the chairman of the Human Rights Commission. So the statement that the Human Rights Commission wrote, it was directly injecting themselves in a conversation that they were, yes, the chairman is their chairman, but he was addressed in his individual capacity. That's how I saw it, and I was not satisfied with their response.
That's why they said the leaders.
Yeah.
Leaders of the NHRC.
The leaders.
The leaders. So they didn't say the Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
Because I wasn't called by the
You were not called by the Human Rights Commission. Now tell us about that encounter. What happened?
So I was at the GPU, I was working at around 10 minutes after 8 p.m.
10 minutes after 8.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
I was at the union. I was working, and Emil called me. You know, when he called me, he said, "Mustapha, we want to meet you, the Media Council."
Yeah.
And he said at the NHRC. I've never met the Media Council before. I don't know how they do this.
Yeah.
I've heard about their meeting with other people. And when they said NHR office, so that morning, because some people were saying a lot of things about Justice Jete, so he was also worried.
Yes,
I went to see him.
Justice, yeah.
That morning I went to see Justice Jete, just to tell him, well, look, some of the things you've heard are not in our story, actually. They're just people making Facebook posts.
About,
and there is nothing we could do about that. And so my colleague called me and told me about a conversation he had had with the night earlier.
The night earlier. Batambid.
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't know at the time what the Media Council invited me for.
Okay.
Right? And I could forward you the email I sent to them, and the email I sent to Gambia Press Union, and the response the Gambia Press Union sent to me.
Yeah.
The Media Council never replied to my email, because I wrote to email and I copied Babukar. You know, I saw their interviews, and they're going around saying whatever they want. Ntata, within Tata, I went there, I sat. So when I was at the reception, look, is Emil here? And so they told me. So one of them told me, I had the chair is in the meeting. I said, chair? I said, I'm not here to meet the chair of the National Human Rights Commission. I'm here to meet the Media Council. I said that they wouldn't be aware of that, but I said that to somebody at the reception. When I walked in, I found, so it's around their table at their conference hall or something. Emmanuel was seated there. Emil and Babukar were seated here. Yeah. I sat facing Emil. Emmanuel is sitting here. Babukar is sitting there. And so Emmanuel laid the ground what people said.
What people said, or what the report said?
No, he said that we call you in connection to the story, of course, This is the so he ran through all the issues that I wrote to the GPU about the perception, about everything. If you like, I can read the email.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, well, the misconceptions. One, they didn't tell me that there was any formal complaint.
From Batambedu?
Yes.
Okay.
And two, they didn't tell me there were any ethical issues in my story or any shortfalls or factual error that needs to be corrected. They didn't tell me.
They didn't say any of these?
No. But they went around about perceptions my story have had, the stakes are high, by saying he's considering a lawsuit, and that his family is being harassed, and that and a lot of things like the GP, like I told the GPU.
Yeah.
So I told them, okay. I told them, well, we did our best to be able to tell our story the best way we can, and the best way we think is fair to all parties. It's unfortunate if Ba doesn't think it's fair to him, and in either case, when he wrote back to us, we discouraged them. We published it too, and he also said that with other platforms who published it.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have anything against those platforms, even though we both know it's unethical to do so.
It's unethical because we did not publish your story.
But
so that's why the rebuttal from Ba, we never published it.
Yeah. But I mean, for us, we've been doing this for a lot of time now, so we are used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, this is what the situation is as far as I'm concerned. I told them we had a meeting at around 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I left. I went back to the union. When I went, I informed the Secretary General.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the Gambia Press Union.
We all are, yeah.
Everything that, if you call me tonight and say, Mustapha, I'm going to kill you tomorrow, the first person I'm going to call is the Secretary General of the Gambia Press Union.
Yeah.
That's how we work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I called, when I went, I explained it to the Secretary General, and he asked me to write to him. So I write him an email explaining everything.
Everything.
Yeah? And and at the bottom of the email, I can read you the email, and I told the Secretary General, I'm seeking your I mean, of course, I will talk to my team members about this, and our team of advisors and all the guys who are part of our team, the loose members. But we would be happy to also hear from you. And the Secretary General, the GPU, they summoned an emergency meeting, the GPU with the board members, and they took a position that this is wrong. Right?
Yeah.
And you see, people didn't know. The first thing was the Media Council operates on complaint.
Yes.
So if Ba is aggrieved, he should have filed a formal complaint before the Media Council.
Yeah.
So the Secretariat will receive it. The ethics panel would adjudicate it. It's a 3-member panel.
Yeah.
Once they are done, they will call me and they will present the findings to me.
Yeah.
If I am aggrieved, if I am displeased by their ruling, I will appeal to the Media Council, to the Governing Council.
To the Governing Council.
Babukar sits at the Governing Council, so it's more like a court of appeal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the ethics panel is like the High Court. Yeah.
Yeah.
We respect those procedures.
Yeah.
And that's why I went.
Yeah.
It was a tough time, but I went.
But the thing is, the first red flag here was they did tell you that Ba did not
file
any complaint against you.
But Emmanuel later said that Ba called him, and also he called Emil. That's what Emmanuel later said.
But my thing is here.
So when I wrote, see, I think it's important.
It's important for you to write, because my thing here is, what is the role of the Human Rights Commission in this?
Now, when I wrote to the GPU, to the Media Council, when I wrote to Emil, that's what I told him.
Yeah.
I told him that the first thing is that you called me. You didn't tell me anything is wrong in my story.
This was after your meeting with them?
It was after my rating.
You wrote to them.
Because I told them that I am going to sit down with my team members.
And before we go to the letter and everything, after telling you there was no formal complaint, after telling you there was no ethical issues with your story, what?
Well, I wouldn't know whether they think there is ethical issues,
okay.
but they haven't said.
But they haven't said it.
Yeah.
They haven't said it openly to you. What was the conclusion of the meeting? What were they seeking from you to do?
Oh, yeah. So they said that we should issue a statement with Bar to say that, because their position is that my report did not indict Bar. And for us, I've never written a story and say we've done a story that indicted somebody or party. That's not in my, that's not our business.
That is not your business.
We just write our reports, and whether or not they indict individuals, that's an opinion others hold.
So
that's
they told you your story did not indict Bar.
But they want me to write, they needed us to write
a statement. Did they want a joint statement or?
Yes. They said they wanted a joint statement.
With Bar?
Yes.
To say
Bar,
what?
To say that our report did not indict Bar, you know, and so, yeah, so they said our report did not indict Bar, and I said, well, we would go, and I told them I will go and I will have a meeting with my colleagues, and then once we have a meeting with my colleagues, then I will come back to you on this.
But why that response from you though? Because number one, you know very well, in fact, after writing a story like that, it's not ethical to do. Why would you do a joint statement with Bar in the first place?
Well, you know, this whole thing was not. It was wrong, and so so GPU wrote back to me. I'm just looking at Juve's response right now to say that this is what we will do. And so they took a hit at GPU. GPU didn't do anything wrong. GPU acted on
what you told them.
On what I told them. And GPU did write to them. Even me, I wrote to them, and I didn't get any response.
GPU also wrote to the Media Council?
GPU wrote to them, yes. Juve would not issue a statement without writing to the Media Council.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's not him. Yeah.
Juve would not do that. So the way so the issue is that
you are looking at the email.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the email I sent to Emil himself.
Oh, you sent an email to Emily?
Yes. I sent an email to Emil, to tell them that, that we would not be doing this. Okay, so I sent that email at 15:57. And it's right here. I can
read it out aloud. Yeah.
So I said that, good evening, Mr. Emil Toure. I said, let me first start by appreciating the conversation over our recent story, which, among other things, detailed the sale of the assets of ex-President Yahya Jammeh. The Media Council is a self-regulatory body. We journalists, in bracket, established and are certainly obliged to respond when it calls.
Yeah.
Before I delve into the issues, I must state that we have our concerns. When I received your call, you informed me that I was requested to a meeting with the Media Council of the Gambia. But while Mr. Babukar Cham, I said my former boss and a good friend of mine, because Babukar was city limit,
he's my uncle too.
I was going there at the time, and we had a history. And yourself are members of the council, Mr. Emmanuel Juve, the chair of the National Human Rights Commission, and a friend of Mr. Tambedu is not a member of the council, are certainly not in any place to neutrally speak on any matter affecting Tambedu. And I said, secondly, based on my understanding, the role of the Media Council is to intervene in matters of ethical or professional misconduct. Those such discussions should center on the content of a publication, pointing out clear cases of misconduct and seeking explanation where available, and demanding or depending on the evidence supporting the appeal of the complainant, demand a correction. This was not what the meeting was about. The suggestion that the content was misleading or that the former minister did not have enough time to respond is an opinion Mr. Tambedu holds. And he did inform me and Talibe Hydra, the news editor of the Republic, about that. Our meeting, in fact, about the perception of our story was about the perception our story created and opinion others had after reading the content. Thirdly, there was two major problematic insinuations. It is that there are rumors I might have been bribed, which frankly which frankly I said is laughable. And the second insinuation is that if we fail to do this statement, the former minister could consider legal actions. I said, well, legal action is open to any person who is aggrieved in the Republic. Meanwhile, I had adequate conversation with my colleagues and our editorial advisors, and we resolved that we could not issue any joint statement with ex-minister Tambedu, and we take no responsibility for how people read and interpret our work. This work satisfied our editorial standards. In appreciation of the work of the council and in the service of the Republic, we remain. And Mustapha Kedawaya. This is the end of
this was written to Emil.
This is the statement I wrote to Emil.
And he never responded.
On you could see it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. This was on the 7th of May.
Yeah, on 7th of May. This is the day after the meeting.
But he never responded.
No, they never. You can see if there is a response.
They never responded.
There is response. It will be underneath this.
Yeah.
It's a professional image.
Yeah.
It's not. They
never
didn't
responded.
respond. No, they did respond. The GPU wrote to the two people, and so they came crashing. You know, they were emotional about it.
Especially when you raised something that was pertinent to Emily, you made it clear to him.
We had our own concerns.
No, I mean, Emily Ture, you made it clear to him that number one, the chairman of the Human Rights Commission is not part of the media council.
Yeah, and I was invited to a media council
meeting.
Yeah.
But secondly, considering that the chairman is the personal friend to the former minister Batambedu, he was not in a proper position
to be able to adjudicate properly or in my interest
because obviously because of the
there are a lot of things that I think had happened, and you know, like I said, even when you are in charge of dispensation of justice, there are things that I think happened that we also believe were unfair to us. But the reason why we don't feel that necessary to say is because, you know, it's not relevant.
It's not relevant.
It's personal to me.
Yeah.
And so,
and this is always what I tell people. I am a newsmaker. I don't want to be ever the news. And this is the scenario. Because I know we have had a lot of conversations. I know there have been a lot of issues. Which if you had raised,
we could also,
if you had raised,
if we are also interested in, if all I am interested in is to destroy an individual, ruin the capacity, the popularity of an individual, and for money, I mean, I wouldn't need to take a lot of time to do that. Really, I usually am in custody of a lot of information. Lot of it. I mean, you know, if I just want to ruin a politician, and do it fast,
it's gonna be
and you know, without any other consideration, I mean, I could do that for pretty much any known person in the Gambia. But you know, you don't want to do that. I mean, we don't publish what we don't think is relevant to the public, you know, and we do so in the best interest of what we think is accountability. And I mean, that's not to say that I mean, I'm Abubakar Siddiq or Umar bin Khattab. I mean, I can't be wrong. I mean, you know, and we can't be wrong. I mean, we can see things wrongly. I mean, you know, but you know, people are people. They They go around, they ridicule me, they ridicule Madi. I saw even our colleagues saying they were right. They were not right. They were wrong.
No, they were not right.
Emmanuel knows he was wrong.
Yeah. And
What
they
did was wrong.
And I have said this.
I mean, they could have Bar could have filed a formal complaint before the media council.
Yeah.
The ethics panel could have sat on it.
Yeah.
They could review my story.
Yeah.
They could call me and review my story.
Yeah.
And, if I am aggrieved with their judgment, I will appeal it.
Yeah.
So I go to the media council. And the media council, the governing council will take my appeal.
That's the process.
And that's the process. That could be done.
Yeah.
But when you call me into this kind of thing and you make me look like a fool, and now I go and tell the union what happened, you now even come and say, no, that didn't happen. So it means I have lied to the union.
And the entire nation.
Yeah, so that is why Emil called me, I didn't pick. And Dudu Bojang told me, and he called me and I said, I'm not talking to him again.
Yeah, because he made me look like a liar.
He made me look like a fool.
Yeah.
You cannot do this. I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You call me, you tell me something,
Yeah.
I go and report that to the union. And now you are saying you didn't tell me that. So the meeting was without an objective in a sense.
So what exactly?
So that means that they just called me and raised these issues and didn't ask me to do anything. So the meeting was without an objective.
But that same,
it is wrong.
But that same thing was said.
I was very angry about it, but
Yeah.
that is why I didn't want to speak.
You didn't want to speak at the time.
early.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just say anything, because I mean, what is it? What would I have been respond? Somebody texted me and I told him, there was a guy who was in a battle, and he put down a soldier, an opponent, and was about to strike him, and the opponent spit on him, and he got up and pushed the opponent, and after the battle, his soldiers came around him and told him, Captain, why did you do that? He told him, because when he spit on me, I didn't strike him because inside me I didn't know if I was going to kill him for the cause or for my ego. So I mean, when you're angry, you just take it,
Yeah.
So I was pissed, like really, really very pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot call me into a meeting and then you are now going and telling people you don't, whether or not, the language, you see, the interpretation of what happened, whether or not it was interpreted as intimidation, that was not what I said.
Yeah.
But the GPU is a press freedom organization.
Yeah.
GPU has its own standards of how it looked at facts.
Yeah.
That I don't tell the GPU.
Yeah.
But the GPU, Juve's job is a press freedom activist.
Yeah.
Is to analyze the environment and look at the threats there are to press freedom and to journalists.
Yeah.
So if Juve made a contextual analysis and determined that this is a threat to the journalists, he is at total liberty to say that.
And first thing, Mustapha, for me, as somebody who have dealt with the media,
and it's not Juve, by the way, it's the media, it's the GPU,
GPU,
it's the board.
For a board, from the president to the last person.
Yeah.
And for me, the first thing that really I have dealt with the media council, somebody has to file a complaint first to say, oh, Mustapha's story did this to me. Kirfat, you guys wrote a story and did this to me, and filed a complaint to the media council. That is when they act.
Yeah.
The media council doesn't just get up and say, oh, the story you wrote about Ba, the timing is wrong. I think people's perception about it is this. Maybe we should issue a statement. That is not their role. We have to establish that.
Well, yes, but even if, let's even suppose that the media council was supposed, I mean, for me, I am open to giving people latitude, or institutions latitude. So the media council could, if Ba is aggrieved, the media council could call me. I mean, if it's a fair way of doing things, they could call me.
Yeah.
But let us be truthful. If you call me to a meeting, it's a media council meeting. I should have a media council meeting.
Yeah, not.
Don't bring another person into the meeting. And then you tell me you made an unusual act. I go and report that to the union. The union determine that this is wrong and we're going to issue a statement. And they asked me not to write to them and tell them you're not going to do this.
Yeah.
That was the position of the union.
Yeah.
I could have wrote to you what the Secretary General told me. Not only did he reply, he also told me the course of actions they were
going to take.
Yes.
And you don't have control over that.
No.
Yeah.
So when the media, well, don't make me look like a liar.
A liar.
You know, and make me look like I misled the union into, it's wrong.
Is it because in defense of the Media Council? Is it because they felt the timing was wrong? Ba was applying for a position that is being sponsored by the Gambia government, not sponsored but nominated by the Gambia government, and then this could affect that appointment. Do you think that was also something?
Yeah, I mean, if that is an opinion, if that is a position they hold, that might as well be very legitimate.
Yeah.
But in any case, for me, I'm not interested in vilifying positions people hold. And I think that this is important. Like, people can hold, I mean, I can't be wrong. So people can hold opinion that I am wrong. Like I said, like, what I say is not the word of the Quran.
It's not.
Yeah, but let's be truthful. Let's be frank. Let's not be like that. If I said this, that's that. That's that. So when you are going to call me into a meeting, I mean, Emmanuel in himself, in his own capacity, can call me into a meeting as an individual, as a person, and say, I think this is what you did. And, because the way you are a public officer, the way I'm also a public officer.
Yeah.
So he could hold me to account based on what he think I did wrong or right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could do that. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it's always the way you do things. And when someone comes and say, well, he did, this happened, if it did happen, don't go and say, no, it didn't happen. Then you make me look like a fool.
And that isn't right.
No, that's not right.
I think that was...
I felt offended and, yeah.
I mean, and I know this might be a very tough decision for you because, I remember when you spoke, you told me how Babukar was like an uncle. He was your former boss. You have so much,
Yeah, I mean, I consider him a friend. I do not think that I wouldn't even say they are wrong.
Yeah.
I just say that it
was problematic. The way...
The word was that the procedure was not right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not privy to what they are privy to.
Okay.
To make that decision.
But
and
was
so it... when I reach out to the union, the best I could have expected from them was to say, well, yeah, we did this, but this is the basis for what we did.
We did.
Yeah, but that would have been okay. I mean, I'm not interested in vilifying
anybody.
Yeah, so they could have access to a certain information that they felt in their frame of mind. I mean, whether or not this is wrong or right. I mean, without having to go there. I mean,
but was it right finally on the Media Council meeting? Was it right to demand for a media house who have written a story that they have researched to say do a joint statement with the...
No. That was not something that... It's an unusual act. Yeah. That's why I said it's an unusual act. So, I mean, I don't know why they say it and what informed it. And, context matters. So I don't know what context they have for their acts, for what they asked. But what my problem was when they, without saying who is right or wrong, without saying whether I am the one right or they are the one wrong, what was wrong is that they shouldn't have said that what I said was a lie.
Yeah, because it's not.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my, I have my notebook here.
Yeah.
And because I take notebooks.
Yeah.
I mean, I take my days things and also things that I need to do.
Yeah.
So you could see. Okay. So you see, this is a conversation, right?
Yeah.
This is meeting of the Media Council, May 6, 2025, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, Emil Ture called me at 10, 10 minutes after 8 p.m. On May, informing me about the meeting. I take proper accounts of everything. So this is Emmanuel Juve, Babukar Cham, Emil Ture.
Yeah.
This is Media Council. Then I said, Yeah, this is the date.
And then you said
This is EJ.
EJ, conversation.
That's Emmanuel Juf.
Emmanuel Juf.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. This is narrative. There are negotiation roles, like he's saying.
Intended consequences.
Yeah. So he's saying my article have unintended consequences. So that's why I wrote in unintended consequences. Is putting Batambedu under the spotlight. This is Emmanuel. I may have ulterior motives. That's what people are saying. That Ba said his response was not giving due consideration. Some people said I had already a preconceived notion about Batambedu.
And people had paid.
Yes. Yes. Some people paid. You know.
Yeah.
And Ba is a person of high representation. Nominated for judge at ICJ.
Yeah.
A lot is at stake.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was all the conversations that Emily said.
Yeah. No, the Emmanuel was saying,
yeah.
I have not given due consideration to his answers. Mustapha Darboe is against Batambedu. He's saying that's what the perception of the people might have. So, you know, this is for Babukar, this is for Emil, this is for Babukar, this is for Emmanuel. You know, this is Babukar, this is Emil, the emails. I took account of everything.
Yeah.
So when I come and write to the union to seek the advice of the Secretary General, which if I am in trouble, it is the GPU that's going to come to my defense.
They are there for all of us.
Yes. So even if, for example, I am to hire a lawyer, I have to go to GPU.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, if you call me tonight, if you text me, if I receive a strange text tonight,
it's the GPU.
I will copy that and send it to the GPU. Yeah? The only thing I wouldn't tell them is what I do in my house.
Okay.
Yeah? So this is usual.
Yeah. This is
usual. If I write to the GPU and the GPU, the Secretary General determined that this is wrong and summoned an emergency board meeting, and the GPU board determined that this is a threat.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you can question whether or not it's a threat, right? You can question that.
Yeah.
But don't tell them that what I said is not true.
Because
like that I didn't say that we should issue a joint statement and all of that. And but that's part of the things that that they said, you know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, so those are issues that
so unfortunate.